Hey guys, this is my second e-bike review. This is going to be for the Luna Fixed Stealth bike, my second bike from Luna Cycles. So where to begin? Well, I paid for this bike with my own money. They didn't sponsor this video or give me any kind of discount or anything, so you're going to get the honest review from somebody who paid full price. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I absolutely love this bike. However, it did come with a few little quirks that I had to get taken care of out of the box, but we'll go over that in a few minutes. Just want to go over some of the basics. It's got the Gates carbon drive with the Shimano Nexus internally geared hub. That's 3 speeds, so it's not a true fixed bike or fixie. It does have 3 speeds through the Shimano Nexus 3 hub. The Gates belt drive, super silent, smooth, efficient. Love everything about that. Brakes, it has hydraulic Trectro disc brakes. They're pretty good. Out of the box, a little bit mushy. I had some issues with the brake rotors. I'll go over that in a second. The levers are pretty good, 3-finger levers. They are hydraulic. They do stop the bike, but I'll go over in a little bit more detail. This bike, everything about this bike right now is stock besides the grips. I always change grips to ergonomic grips because I have RSI in both my wrists. So carpal tunnel, I just like resting my palms rather than gripping on. So this is, yeah, it's completely stock. I added a little bottle cage, water bottle there, but yeah, that's how it comes from Luna. I'll overlay a picture of how it ships in its shipping box. This thing does need some assembly, unlike some of the other Luna bikes where you just basically swing the handlebars around. You will need to assemble the front wheel, the handlebars, and then plug the connector for the display in. But I mean, overall, I think it would only take anybody, even if you don't really know what you're doing, it would only take 30 minutes to an hour. So no major assembly, but ships in a nice little box. Shipping weight was 60 pounds. I think the bike weight itself is 39 pounds. I haven't verified that. It weighs about 40 pounds. I mean, it's an incredibly lightweight e-bike. Compared to my last e-bike, the Luna Wolf, man, it's like half the weight of that. I can easily lug this up and down stairs. I was able to put it in my car, go to the bike shop, get it in and out. It's crazy how lightweight it is. Electronics wise, it has a 400 watt mid-drive torque sensing motor. Nowhere near as powerful as the Bafang BBS HD that was on my previous e-bike. It's 400 watts. I think it peaks at around, I'd like to say 520, I think I've seen on the display. The battery is completely integrated into the down tube here. Pretty tiny battery, really. I think it's a 6 amp hour. I'm not sure. The battery is small, but that's kind of the price you pay for having it completely hidden and, you know, kind of tucked away there in the down tube. So battery, motor, the display is Luna's own little mini 500C display. Hope you can see it there. I'll turn that on and go through some of the features with that in a little while. But yeah, I love the display. It's tiny, it's discreet, it's kind of stealthy. Nobody would look at this bike and say, oh yeah, that's an e-bike, without, you know, a second or third glance. Spec wise, you get what you pay for. I said this in my last video. I think I paid $18.99 after shipping, somewhere like $1,900. So $1,750 I believe, and then $150 for shipping. You're not going to get, you know, $6,000 bike components. You're not getting, you know, Ultegras and SRAM X9s. You're not going to get the high-end components. You know, you're going to get kind of the bottom to lower mid-range components, and that can be said for, you know, the hub. It's the Nexus 3. It's a 3-speed. The brakes, the Trectro, you know, entry-level hydraulic brakes. It's good that they're hydraulic and not mechanical. You know, they're not the best in the world. But you're getting what you pay for. In this bike, you're paying for a completely stealth e-bike. I mean, you look at that, it's not an e-bike unless you're really inspecting. Absolutely blown away just by how clean it is. It's definitely the cleanest e-bike I've ever seen. I absolutely love everything about it. go over some of the quirks. So when they shipped this to me, I had some serious clinking and clacking after I'd assembled it. It turns out the cable run for the internally geared hub, there's not really very much play, and it's quite a long run from there all the way up. It goes around the motor, up the tubing, through the frame, out of the frame. So what we ended up doing, I took this to my bike mechanic. We took the whole assembly off because the adjustment on this side wasn't really doing much of anything. So we took the whole assembly off, checked the cable on the inside of this assembly. It was kind of straight, and he flared it and bent it around a little bit. Pumped a bunch of lube down the cable system. It like really needed lube. And then just kind of tweaked it from there. It took him like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so of just tinkering between that and then the little twist shifter up there. And that almost fixed it. It's still not quite there, but I'm hopeful that with a little bit more tinkering I'll be able to get it. And when I say it's almost there, gears 1 and 2 are completely silent now, and the shift in between gears 1 and 2 are completely silent, and that's kind of what I was hoping for with this bike, like super silent, super stealthy. When I'm in third, it still clicks. It sounds kind of like a freewheel click. Even when you're pedaling, it still clicks. I'm 90% sure it's coming from this guy, and I'm sure with a little bit more tweaking and playing around we'll get that fixed. But yeah, for the first couple of days it was perplexing. It was changing gears, wouldn't get into first. It was a massive pain in the ass, if I'm honest. But yeah, my local bike mechanic got that fixed up for me. It's almost there and I love it. I'm just going to keep tinkering and get it just dialed in just right. While we had the bike up on the mechanic's stand, he noticed that I was getting quite a lot of squeaking from the front wheel assembly. The rotor here, I'm not going to touch it, but the front brake rotor was kind of warped. He took, I don't know, a few minutes and just by eye kind of tweaked that a little bit and got that spinning freely so there was no more squeaking. As soon as he'd done that, these brakes became infinitely better. So out of the box they were kind of mushy, kind of squeaky. He tweaked the brake rotor for me, didn't even charge me for it. He's a super nice guy, and that kind of solved that issue. And then the last thing out of the box that he did mention, and kind of a cool little learning thing I'll go through with you, he said the belt here was a little bit too tight. Now we have adjusted it a little bit. He said there's quite a lot of friction because the belt was so tight out of the box. So the adjustment here, basically what you do is you remove the IGH head, loosen the wheel bolt, and then make your micro adjustment here. I don't know if you can see that. So we did that to the best of our ability without messing with the back brake. Any more adjustment on that, he said, would require more of an adjustment of the back brake, and we didn't really want to get into that. So he did loosen it a touch, but he still thought it was a little bit too tight. Now I'm going to link in the description. I've been on with Luna Support. There is actually an app to check the belt tension by Gates. So Gates, the company that makes this belt drive system, they have an app where you basically hold your cell phone with the app open, you flick the belt, and then basically the noise it makes, it will tell you how tight it is and if it needs tightening or loosening. Now I haven't played with that yet. I only found out about that this morning from Luna Support, but I'll leave a link in the description. If you own this bike and you want to check the tension on the belt drive, then go ahead and give that app a shot. It looked pretty awesome. I'm excited to tinker with it. So something else to note when I got this, everything came in the box was nice. It came with the little frog lights and a free bell, something you know they just chuck in for free. I don't have them on yet, but it didn't come with any pedals. These aren't the pedals that go with this bike. These are just my kids. I stole his pedals and put them on so I could get this thing up and running and trying out. So they shipped me some pedals. They'll be here hopefully tomorrow, I believe. As far as I'm aware, the latest batch of all of these fixed bikes came without pedals. So if yours came without pedals and you're part of the same batch as mine, don't worry. I think Luna automatically are sending out emails right now saying they're gonna get everybody out their pedals. So no big deal as far as I'm concerned. It's just something to note. It wasn't in the box and I was expecting them. That's why these little, you know, not very great plastic pedals are here. And then my other gripe out of the box, this is a dust seal. Hopefully you can see that there's a dust seal here behind the chainring, and for whatever reason it had snapped. It was like kind of dangling off. Not even sure how that happened. I'm talking with support about getting a new one. Basically, there's a 8mm Allen key, goes all the way through, loosens it all. I'll be able to pop this off with the belt off and put a new seal. But something to look out for there, this dust seal, it did come kind of all obliterated and not very good. But apart from that, let me get into the positives of this bike. It is probably the nicest bike I've ever ridden once it's been tweaked. The power from the torque sensing motor is so smooth and so satisfying, it's ridiculous. I've used several speed and cadence censored motors before, but I've never used torque sensing. This is my first torque sensing bike, and the difference really is night and day. When you apply force to the pedals, it gives you power, and depending on what gear you're in and what pedal assist level you're in, it is such a joy, it's such a pleasure to ride. It reminds me, I'm going to put a picture up, overlay of my old Trek fitness bike that I used to have, kind of like exactly the same geometry as this bike. Obviously it was analog, and getting up and down these hills kind of kicked my butt on it. It's exactly the same geometry as that bike, but with the 400 watt motor in there. It's just mind-blowing how efficient and satisfying it is to ride. I mean, it still blows me away. I've got about 40 or 50 miles on it right now, just going basically up and down these bike trails here, and crushes the hills. If I put it in pedal assist 2, gear 1 or 2 up these hills, and these are long hills, they go on for like a mile, just constant uphill, crushes them, absolutely crushes them. That said, the battery is absolutely tiny. I think the second day I did 7 miles on it, I think I used about 55 to 60 roughly % of the battery, and that was mostly in pedal assist 2, only using 3 when I'm going up hills. So if you're going to go like any kind of distance on this bike, if you've got to go more than say 25 miles in a single trip, you're going to want to keep it in pedal assist 1, pedal assist 2, and not really push it, otherwise you just will run out of battery. It's a tiny battery, but you know, that's the trade-off for having it be super stealthy. I mean, people have even said, wow, that's an e-bike. Yep, that's an e-bike. Absolutely stunning looks. The fit and finish is fabulous. The matte black paint job, it is prone to fingerprints, but it's stunning. It looks absolutely gorgeous. If I could pick like the perfect bike color for me, it would just be a nice matte black. Stickers all applied nicely. The wheels, I mean, what can you say about wheels really? Double wall aluminum wheels. They seem to be, you know, doing the job. It comes with let me see if I can see, there we go, Kenda K-Shield. These are e-bike rated specific tires. I've not really had any problem with them. They're quite loud for what they are, but no problems there. I think I'm actually just going to keep everything as is. I don't know if you may have seen my last review, my last e-bike review. I talked about changing things over time and stuff, but yeah, I mean, besides getting this IGH really dialed in, getting this dust seal fix, getting the right pedals on, I'm in love. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with this bike. This is my favorite, not just e-bike, this is like my favorite bike I've ever owned. Everything about riding it is just fun. You get on it, you pedal, it's silent, it's smooth, it's incredibly responsive. It's just mind-blowing. If we could do some kind of upgrade in the future, I believe there is some kind of hack where you can make here's the charge port here under this rubber seal, maybe put a bottle type battery in a bottle cage with a little barrel connector to go in there, just to give you a little bit extra range. Stick this in your backpack if you know you're going more, you know, than 20 miles an hour. Speed wise, I think I've got this here. It's my local flat. I say it's almost flat, but yeah, it's about half a mile. Pedaling in third gear, past 3, basically at my limit. I got it to about 28 to 29 miles an hour. I don't think you're ever going to go much faster than that unless you can keep up with the pedal cadence. It's at 28, 29 miles an hour, you're really spinning. If it had higher gears, you could easily you'd go way faster. You know, don't let the 400 watt motor kind of put you off from this. This is a very capable, very fast bike. You just, again, your only limitation is how fast you can pedal, and if you can keep up with the pedal cadence in 3rd gear on pedal assist 3. Yeah, so that's my first 50-ish mile overview of this bike. Everything that, you know, kind of Luna, they've just basically, this, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe this is their first real run, a full production, you know, mass production e-bike offshore, probably in China. So that means, you know, they've made the frame, they've made the assembly, they've sourced the motor, the gates drive, they've sourced all the components, they built it, they've boxed it, they've shipped it over, and now they're distributing it. In terms of how they've done that for their, what I think is their first ever go at this, I would give them 5 stars. You can't expect these things to go absolutely perfectly, like pedals missing in a box, a broken seal, or some slightly adjusted gears. You know, they're to be expected. You're going to get those issues with any bike in a box. So to say this is their first attempt at this, and they've sent me a bike that looks this good, there's no nicks or marks on the paint, it was packaged beautifully, it was totally secure, it's come all the way, you know, like I said, I'm guessing here, but I think from China, in immaculate condition, minus the quirks. I think they've done a fantastic job, and you really can't criticize them for, you know, missing pedals or a broken seal. If the frame was bent, or, you know, the wheels were warped, it would be a different story. But hey, I hope they're manufacturing a crap load of these, and I hope they're selling like hotcakes. This is, in my opinion, the future of e-bikes. I mean, you put that in a bike rack, lock it up with a, you know, a high quality lock, and nobody's gonna categorically go for that, because it's got a massive big battery sticking off it, a huge display, you know, a big dropout motor on the bottom bracket. It looks like a bike, period. It just looks like a regular bike. This is the future. For a first production run, Luna, I think you have done an amazing job. Work out those QC issues with China. If you get that dialed in, you guys are going to take over the world, because at this price point, I couldn't be happier. I honestly couldn't be happier. I've bought and sold a lot of bikes. It's kind of a hobby. I just buy bikes, use them for 6 months, and either, you know, sell them or give them to my kids. I think this is going to be the bike that I keep. I love it. I'm 5 stars. Also noted that when I did mention to Luna that, you know, pedals were missing, IGH was a bit bulked out of the box. When I mentioned these things to Luna, within 6 hours they got back to me with, we're shipping you new pedals, how can we help with your IGH? You know, it's top-notch customer service. They get a bit of flack on like Facebook and Reddit for having crappy customer service, and it blows me away, because I don't know, I've sent them like 20 tickets over my lifetime of being a Luna customer. I bought all kinds of junk from them. They always get back to me like right away, and they're always super polite and nice, and awesome company. Happy to support them. I hope this bike takes over the world, because I love it. I think you'll love it too. If you've got any questions, leave them in the description. I'll try my best to answer them. I'm going to give this, I don't know, maybe like a 500 mile review, see how the battery's holding up, see how the motor's holding up. I think this system is bulletproof. Looking at it, once we get the IGH dialed in, I think it's going to be like absolutely bulletproof, rock solid. The next video, we'll talk a little bit about these channels for the internal cable routing here and up here. I believe these route in a separate channel underneath, or maybe above, the battery and the controller in this down tube. I'm not 100% certain. So waterproofing, gonna figure out that, and that where the water's gonna run out, how that's all gonna work. These are all questions, you know, for a later date. But my initial impression, my initial review, overall, super happy with it. Cannot wait. I want to finish this video, and I'm going to go put another 20 miles on it, because I absolutely love it. Any questions, leave them in the description. Sorry about the soccer goal. Didn't really know where else to go. I hope this helped. I'll see you next time, guys.